Tell Me About It is brought to you by Don Franklin Auto of Glasgow, Extreme Health Club, and Lockshield Partners Accounting Services.
Hi, this is James Brown. Welcome back to Tell Me About It here on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. You can also find this show on the Glasgow EPB YouTube channel, 104thescore.com, kysports.tv, all that jazz. It was supposed to be girls golf week on this show, but unfortunately, a couple of girls golf coaches were unable to join us for recording. My schedule, their schedule, Trevent's schedule, these things all kind of mix up in a blender, and you hope they land in the right spot, but didn't happen this week. Of course, we had the boys show last week. We had Craig Pippin this year, first year as Barron County boys golf coach, and Jonathan Belcher, the Glasgow boys golf coach. They both came in last week, so you can go back online and check out that show. And we will try to circle back around with Bart Roberts from Glasgow and Michael Morris from Barron County and get them on the show. We don't want to leave anybody out. We're going to try to do as many of these previews as we possibly can for fall sports as we get closer to the season. Golf goes first. As a matter of fact, the first tournament is Saturday, July 22nd. I believe both Barron County and Glasgow's boys will be playing in that tournament. It's a boys tournament at Campbellsville Country Club. I think it's called maybe the Cardinal Classic or the Taylor County Invitational, something of that nature. One of those catchphrases you attach to all events that signify who's hosting it. But it's at Campbellsville Country Club. I don't guess there's another golf course in Taylor County. I have no idea. I'm not a golf aficionado when it comes to golf courses. I just drive up to them, get out, walk around, shoot some photos, talk to some people, come back. That's the extent of it for me. I'm not really a golfer. But you got to keep that in mind. The golf season gets going. And the interesting thing about the high school golf season these days, traditionally what would happen is you might have, a team might play in 4 or 5 tournaments during the course of the season, maybe some Saturday ones. And then most of the rest of their action was generally dual match or tri matches on a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday afternoon at whatever course that the particular hosting school would use. But that doesn't happen as much anymore. There are a lot more tournaments. And I guess because the season, if you consider the season is starting somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 weeks before the actual school year starts, first day of school for most schools, then there's a big window of about 3 weeks where you can get in a bunch of tournaments. And that's what they're doing. So they're kicking off on Saturday. I think Barron County hosts their home tournament on Monday at Barron River Lake. And that's also the first day that the 2 girls teams here, Barron County and Glasgow, will be playing. They play at the South Warren Invitational at Park Mammoth. And that's, for those who do not know, Park Mammoth is like one of those places. It's had a restaurant there. It's had a vineyard. It's had gun ranges. It's had all kinds of stuff depending on the ownership. But it's always had this golf course. But it's been, I think it was bought 2 years ago by some new owners. And they've really gone in to do some work on the golf course. And it's really nice. It's good rolling hills, some pretty wide fairways for across most of the thing. But I think it's pretty challenging, maybe because it's long and maybe the hole placements are often pretty tough. So if you just drive up to it, it's a deceptively tough course just by looking at it. The roughs are not too bad, or at least they weren't whenever I was over there previously. I think they have an ambition there at that course to host some bigger tournaments. So I imagine, they're going to make the hazards and roughs and all that, depending on what level they want to get to in terms of tournament hosting, tougher in the future. But it's a pretty tough course from what I saw last year. And, so that's where the girls' first tournaments will be. Like I said, it's the same day. That's Monday, the 24th, July 24th. At the Barron County tournament, both Barron County and Glasgow are going to be playing in it. I think the next day on that Tuesday, Glasgow, I believe, goes maybe to Lexington or somewhere to play. They're on the road that next day, and then Glasgow boys will host their tournament on the following Thursday, so a week from today. So I guess that's on the 26th, I think is when their tournament is. Barron's going to play in that. It'll be over at Willow Oaks. So the way it works out is I think Glasgow's playing basically in 4 tournaments in 6 days, their boys are. Barron County girls are kind of playing at that same pace in that first week. Maybe the Glasgow girls aren't playing quite that many early on, and the Barron County boys aren't playing that many early on. I think Coach Pippin said the Barron County boys are going to do a little more match play than just tournament play, while the Glasgow boys and Barron County girls are focused on playing in as many tournaments as possible. One of the things out of those tournaments that happens is the players get their all-state points. So when you see at the end of the year Mr. and Miss Golf, that's a product of that all-state tournament points that they get by playing in certain events, certain tournaments. The quality, I think, of the other people signed up for the tournament has an impact on those all-state points. So that's kept up through I don't know if it's in Kentucky Golf Coaches Association. Maybe that's who keeps up with that. It's the kind of thing I have to look up every year. It's like I can't remember. You got the Kentucky Golf Association. You got the Bluegrass Golf Tour, which they host a lot of tournaments in this area. They've come on strong in the last few years. Do a lot of scoring for some of the high school tournaments and that kind of stuff. You have what else you got? You used to have things like the Mountain Dew Tour and the Pepsi Tour and what was the name of that one? The Musselman Dunn Tour, I think. See, some of those are just gone these days. So if you're a person who used to play high school golf and you're like, well, what happened to Musselman Dunn? I can't tell you. It's just not there anymore. But so those are the kinds of, you got these different tournaments that kind of go on simultaneously in the area. And so that's why I can't remember whether it's the Kentucky Golf Coaches Association that does the all-state points, but I believe that's who it is. And, we've had some outstanding golfers in the area in recent years, of course, in terms of Mr. and Ms. Golf. Chase Landrum was Mr. Golf, I think twice. Whitney Wade was Miss Golf, maybe twice. Maybe Morgan Hatney was also Miss Golf. I don't know if Taryn Durham ever got the Miss Golf. I think she narrowly missed a couple of times, but, Taryn Walker now is who she is. That was long, nearly 20 years ago now. So yeah, we've had some outstanding golfers in the area. They've competed in the top tournaments and that kind of thing, and then racked up those all-state points and won those awards. So I think that's why some of the focus is on the tournaments as well, because of the quality competition. When we were talking to Jonathan Belcher about it, he said he felt like the only way that his players got ready to be to compete and potentially win a region is to play in those 18-hole tournaments on the weekends and on the weekdays before school starts, and to play in as many as possible and really go through the process of carrying the bags, walking the course, having to deal with the combination of the thinking and the playing and the fatigue that comes from playing in a tournament that lasts, 4, 5, 6 hours, depending on how many people are in it. So, it's some different philosophies there. I think on the boys' side for both Glasgow and Barron County, they have some quality golfers. They have some guys who will compete for the region title. I'm on the Barron County side, you have Jameson Corbin, Kyler Keeney, Braden Furlong might be a dark horse there. On the Glasgow side, you got Bo Shelton, you have Jace Cook, you have Harrison Belcher. But each team has kind of 3 prominent guys that are coming back and have performed well in recent seasons. So, there'll be real threats. On the girls' side, Glasgow's kind of rebuilding their girls' program. They had 5 seniors a couple of seasons ago and didn't have many young golfers, maybe none, in the stable at that point in time, trying to get back. So Bart Roberts has kind of had to rebuild the program. He found Emery Gardner, who was the only varsity player last year, got some younger players. I think he said he's gotten some more players who have turned out to play. So I think that's what he told me, some younger players. So he expects to have a full team again this year. Barron has 14 or so players. They have plenty of players. But they were real young last year outside of Kinsey Edwards. So they're trying to, they ended up with Kinsey Edwards, Chloe Witcher, and Lucy Zala all made the state tournament last year. So they got some golfers coming back with some experience. And I don't know. I think the region's kind of wide open on the girls' side. South Warren has a couple in Sydney McClanahan and Ainsley Cruz who are at the top. Bowling Green may have a full team that might be more competitive. I don't know what those younger golfers look like for South Warren, so I'm not sure who the preseason favorite is on the girls' side for the region. On the boys' side, it's Bowling Green and Greenwood have just been the best the last couple of years, probably longer than that, 4 or 5 years. So that's a little more. There's some underdog nature there for Glasgow and Barron if they manage to knock off those guys and maybe win the region. So, there's that. On the outside of the high school side, Abby Lee had an outstanding week earlier in the week. She tied for second in the Kentucky Women's Open. That's a tournament that is a mixture of professionals and amateurs. I think she had the low amateur score in that, or maybe tied for the low amateur score in that. So she's had an outstanding summer. She finished also runner-up in the Kentucky Junior, I believe is what it was. And so, now, what was that? Anyway, so she finished runner-up in that as well. So down at Middle Tennessee, played well last year. Glasgow graduate. She's had a good run. In other news that we've not really discussed since the last time I was on the show, Nina McMurtry, who we had on the show earlier, and you can go back and find that again online, our conversation with her about the outstanding finish to her season at Division III Center. After she was on this show, she decided to transfer, and she's going to Western Kentucky University now, so moving closer to home. And that will, be good for her. It'll be challenging. It's a jump up from Division III to Division I. I think the biggest thing is, I don't know in terms of the types of tournaments you play in, the challenge of the courses and all that. And when we were talking to Nina, that Division III national tournament that she played in, where she finished 4th, sounded like it was pretty tough. But obviously at the Division I level, just the week in, week out competition will be tougher for her. There's going to be more low rounds to compete against. So good luck to her. Good to see her back close to the area. That's kind of how the golf is gone and how it's going. The summer tour stuff's wrapped up. We've had a bunch of people who've had outstanding summers playing either Bluegrass Golf Tour or on some of the Kentucky golf house events, that kind of thing, PGA, junior PGA events. So, looking forward to the season. Should be pretty good, I do believe. So we'll be right back here on Tell Me About It on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel.
Lockshield Partners Accounting Services provides professional and trusted expertise to our clients. Our team offers individual, business, and nonprofit tax preparation services, as well as payroll, bookkeeping, and consulting year-round. Call or visit our office today so our team can work for you while you and your loved ones focus on what really matters, because together we plan.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
Welcome back to Tell Me About It. I'm James Brown here on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. You can catch this show live at 6 p.m. every Thursday, but you can catch it anytime online on the Glasgow EPB YouTube channel, 104thescore.com, and kysports.tv. Trevent Hayes couldn't be with us today, which is a shame because I got to see his football team. You know, he's coaching Caverna now, in case you people missed it. I got to see his football team in a 7-on-7 camp over at Greenwood last week. And Tuesday, I got to see Barron County doing 7-on-7 at Warren East. Originally, I was going to go to Glasgow 7-on-7 at Tuesday afternoon. And the weather didn't look very good, and I actually suspected they were going to cancel it, but no, they did it. They played over there, and Glasgow's also was at Greenwood today, so I don't have any reports on that. But you know, as I watch 7-on-7, I try to think to myself, what are they getting out of this? Because you know, it's a 5-out quarterback. You got a guy center, you know, who's snapping the ball to the quarterback, and you know they're running pass routes and that kind of stuff. And I guess I don't know if it's more beneficial for the offense or the defense. And I say that because it's a good opportunity for you to get reps as your quarterback. Especially, I think if you're probably a smaller school where you don't have as much numbers, so you can't do a whole lot of pass defense practice because a lot of those dudes who are catching passes are also defending passes. And it's not just at a small school. I think some of Barron County's receivers will also be defensive backs. I think some of Glasgow's receivers will also be defensive backs. And so, you know, if you think about it that way, what's happening if you're in practice and you've got you got to have 22 players on the field at a practice, right? If you're practicing offense against defense. Well, I mean, a lot of schools don't really just have 22 people to put out there, all right, in terms of getting a real kind of repetition against a real kind of competition. You know, if you've got a big class of seniors, let's say you've had 13 seniors like Glasgow and Barron have had in recent years or more, and you've got a small junior class, let's say 7 or 8, and then you've got 13 sophomores, right? Well, a lot of those seniors might be playing both ways, no matter what school you're at. At least some of the skill players, maybe some of the linemen are switched in and out. So I guess that's kind of what you get out of this 7-on-7. I'm really just kind of talking this out as I'm doing this because I've been thinking about it since I went to the one last week and Caverna was playing, and my son was with me, and we were just kind of talking about it. They were like, what did they really get out of this? And I guess that's what it is. You get an opportunity to run your pass offense and your pass defense against people you don't know, who don't know you, who don't know the plays you're going to try to run or the routes you're going to try to run. And so they are getting an opportunity from their coaches, an opportunity to see the mixtures of the routes and how to cover them and that kind of stuff. And your guys on the offensive side then are getting, you know, the opportunity to run the routes, how you're supposed to run the routes, working on the execution of those routes and that kind of thing. So I guess that's really what you get out of the 7-on-7. The other thing that's going on right now is they can't be in pads yet, right? It's just T-shirts, shorts, cleats, socks, helmet. So it's kind of an opportunity to go out and do maybe a little more vigorous competition than you would be able to do in practice because, like I said, because of the numbers situation. So I guess that's what they get out of it. I do find the proliferation of these 7-on-7 camps to be rather interesting. I don't remember. I'm trying to think the first time I ever really saw one. I mean, it's been a few years now. But around here, there weren't that many going on every year. But like I said, there've already been 3 or 4 just locally. I think Warren East has hosted a couple. Greenwood hosted a couple. South Warren's probably hosted a couple. And the other thing you get to see, like at Greenwood, you had Caverna there. You had Russellville, Franklin Simpson, Edmonson County, Allen County. I think I said Monroe County already, but so you had a diversity of schools there. Same thing at the Warren East. Had 2 different Bowling Green squads there at the Warren East. I don't know if either one of them was actually the varsity squad. And so you kind of get the diversity of competition there in terms of who you're going to see. I guess one of the ironies that I kind of thought of at the 7-on-7s was, as I watched those teams, I'm like, many of these teams are run-first teams. I don't know how much some of these teams are going to throw the ball once they are all, you got 11 on a side out there. And also, I guess some of them also have a sidebar for linemen that they'll come and do lineman competitions and drills and that kind of thing. But for the most part, your line players then, if they're not doing that at the 7-on-7 camps, then your linemen are, I don't know. I mean, they're not there at all. Some were there watching and that kind of thing for Caverna. So I'm not sure how that part fits in. So I guess maybe there'll be a growth maybe on some lineman competitions. I don't know what those look like. I mean, maybe somebody will see this and they'll grab me one day and they'll be like, James, let me tell you, man, this is how the lineman competitions work. Because all I can imagine do dummy push-ins, some late weightlifting and that kind of stuff. But I guess another thing, let me say this. I was curious also to kind of watch the mechanics, all right, of the quarterbacks, especially at these 7-on-7 camps, and to see what they look like without any real pressure on them. You have a time limit where you have to get rid of the football, but you don't have anybody breathing down your neck trying to rip your arm out of its socket or that kind of stuff. Not that anybody would really do that, but they're going to try to hit you as hard as possible. And if the arm socket situation happens, I'm guessing that's part of football. So, it's interesting to watch the mechanics of the quarterbacks while not under duress, see what their footwork looks like, their throwing motion, that kind of thing. And I'm not sure. Out of those things I just mentioned, I'm not sure what you get out of it. The scrimmages, full scrimmages, will begin, I think the first ones are August 3rd, so we are next week away from that. I mean, can you believe that? Next Friday or Thursday is the first, I believe is the way it works out, first football scrimmage. So what's the day? 2 weeks away from that. I can't math. Sorry. So, we'll get to see the full contact stuff. A lot of folks are going to be on the road. I'm not sure if anybody's hosting. No, I think Glasgow's hosting a scrimmage. Barron's hosting Hart County in a scrimmage, and maybe Glasgow's hosting one. But anyway, so we'll get to see the full stuff. We're not that far away. We're only 3 weeks away, I think, from the start of soccer season. The first soccer match is like August 8th. First volleyball match is like August 14th to 15th. First football game's August 18th. So right at a month, a little less than a month away. Can you believe that? Fall sports is already here. I mean, it's kind of amazing how quickly this happens. It was just, I took a vacation a couple of weeks ago. I didn't think about sports at all, except for some youth baseball. And, that's the way it goes. Speaking of youth baseball, that wrapped up this past weekend. The Barron County 12 and under baseball team, all-star team, made it to the Ohio Valley Regional. They won their West Kentucky State Championship the week before that. So they went up there. They took some lumps. The usual powerhouses there, the Lexington East, I think it is, which is out of the Tates Creek Park, I believe. A lot of times bluegrass games. Anybody who's ever had any youth teams playing the bluegrass baseball games, they usually play there in that Lexington East Park. They ended up winning that regional. They're so good year in and year out. Their league is so tough. South Lexington was there. They're usually pretty good. Crown Point, Indiana was there. They looked like they were pretty good. But anyway, Barron County 12s, they made it to the regional tournament. Had a good run this year. Congratulations. Looked pretty good most of the time when I saw them play. So, future's bright for those guys, and looks like future's bright for youth baseball around here. I think that's all I have this week. We'll be back next week. Hopefully Trevent can make it with us next week. He's got a pretty busy schedule right now, trying to run a football team, a restaurant, and a funeral home. Man's got his hands in a lot of pies. And I am James Brown. You're here on Tell Me About It. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week.